One point, one point, one point, one point with Arnold Gamboa.
How can you beat your discouragement? Paano ba talaga? How can we be able to respond properly to our discouragement? And you can type in sa Google, how can I stop being discouraged? Ang dami yan lalabas. Daming suggestion. There's a lot of suggestion that you can see. And you can do that. Go ahead. No problem. But I'd like to leave you with just one thing. 1 point. Ito yung ginagawa ko palagi every Saturday. Sana you can join me, no? In fact, this message, binigay ako na sila ng preview kagabi. 1 point every Saturday, I'm doing a live stream sa YouTube. Just 1 point. I want to leave you with just 1 point today. If you want to go over your discouragement, you need to do this. You need to go back to your why. Go back to your why. When you feel discouraged, what do you need to do? Go back to your why. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Most people call your why as your purpose in life. Alright? And the only way for you to stop you being discouraged is to encourage yourself. Of course, you need people to encourage you. You need the Word of God to encourage you. But if you want to feel encouraged, you need to go back to your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the reason why you keep on pressing on even if you are still getting frustrated? Even if you fear something? Even if you are so tired? Even if you are failing? You have a lot of failures in life. Why do you still keep on pressing on? Bakit? Bakit ba talaga? And here's the thing. It can give you clarity. When you define your why, it can give you clarity. It will eventually give you this clear vision of what you want to pursue and why you want to pursue. And when you feel discouraged and when you go to this why, you'll suddenly realize, that's the reason why I'm doing this and I don't need to feel discouraged anymore. But your why is unique to yourself. Your why is unique to yourself. You are the only one who can figure out your own why. You are the only one who can figure out what is the purpose of your life. What is that assignment? What motivates you? What is that assignment that God has given you? What is your why? Now, if you are a follower of Jesus, you have a bigger why. Meron tayong generic, meron tayong isa-isang why. Yung meron tayong tawag dito yung specific why. We have a specific why, and we also have our if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, if you are an overshadowing why, bigger picture why. And our bigger picture why is to glorify God. Anything that you do is for the glory of God. Tingnan nyo itong ginawa nila ni Nehemiah. Dinefine ni Nehemiah yung why niya. He defined the why for these people that are so discouraged. Sabi niya dito, verse 14, sabi niya, after I looked things over, I stood up and, let me highlight it for you. Alright. After I looked things over, I stood up and said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord. Number 1, remember the Lord who is great and awesome. Number 2, and fight for your families, your sons and your daughters, and your wives. Remember the Lord who is great and awesome, and fight for your families, your sons, and your daughters, your wives, and your homes. Sabi ni Nehemiah, you know why we're doing this? You know why we're building this wall? Number one, you know that we're doing this for the Lord. The Lord wants us to do this. Let's build this wall. And number two, remember that you're fighting for your families. Remember you're fighting for your wives, for your kids, for your homes. You're doing this not just for yourself. You're doing this because you're fighting for somebody else. That is our why, people, sabi ni Himaya. Ganda. Na-imagine ko parang freedom. Yung gano'n, yung gano'ng klase, di ba? Motivational speeches, gano'n ginagawa ni Nehemiah during this time. And maybe you need to do that. You need to, if you want, you can motivate yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why? When you feel down, when you feel discouraged, why are you doing what you're doing? And I'm not going to say anything sa'yo kasi ano yan specific sa'yo Go down to that level immediately when you feel discouraged. Define your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Now, if you have stayed long enough sa Life City Church and you've heard me talk about this, I've been open about my failures, my discouragements in the past. Alam niyo naman yan. And there are a couple of things that I've shared with you in the past. I've said that I've been discouraged about. Sometimes as leaders, we have some, we want to see particular goals, but we're not seeing it. And I shared with you that I feel discouraged sometimes because of that. And so I also shared in the past that I feel discouraged when I look at my career. I have some goals in my career and I feel discouraged that I'm not able to, I have those goals that I felt like I need to achieve, I wasn't able to achieve. And those are discouraging times. Sometimes I battle discouragements. When I experience those things, almost immediately my mind would switch and ask, why are you doing what you're doing? What is your why? And that is the reason why, and that is somehow almost immediately encourage me. Why? I would ask myself, why are you serving Life City Church? Why? And I would go back to that story 21 years ago when I'm lost, when I am a religious person and doesn't have a relationship with Jesus. I would go back to that time when I'm so passionate about sharing Jesus to others. And I'm looking for a place to serve and share the good news of Jesus to others. I will go back to the time when I feel discouraged, that when I don't see what's the time that I felt like I wanted something to happen at Life City Church and it's not happening. I always go back to that experience, my born again experience when Jesus saved me. And almost immediately, God will tell me, you know why you're doing what you're doing? Because you want to see more people come to church, come to Jesus. Because you are passionate about, sharing what happened to you in the past. You're passionate about that. And that's the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And why are you pursuing your career? Because you love your family, even if sometimes it's so hard to do it. You love your family, you want to serve your family, you want to serve your wife and your kids. That's the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And so, you define your why. And I can't do that for you. Just define your why for yourself. And that will almost always immediately encourage you when you feel discouraged. When you feel discouraged, after understanding your why, always remember this. God's faithfulness in the past, God's presence at present, and God's power for the future. Always remember that. When you feel discouraged, you always remember what God has done for you in the past, His faithfulness. And always remember that He's always with you today. He's with you even if sometimes you say you feel like you're suffering. He's always in, and He promises He is with you. And always remember that He controls the future. He is the one who knows the future. And He is the one who knows what's the best for us. And maybe what's best for us is not the one that we are thinking that is best for us. You just have to understand that He knows the future and He is powerful and He will give us whatever is best for us. That's what we need to do. And let me leave you with this. Sabi dito sa Philippians chapter chapter 4 verse 13. And this is a well-loved verse. Sabi dito, I can do all things through Christ, through Him who gives me strength. Now, the context of this verse is not, this is about suffering. You can do all things. If you're suffering, you can do all things. You can survive the suffering through Christ that gives you strength. It's not, if I want to have a Lamborghini, I can do all things through Christ. You can give me strength. If I want to become Michael Jordan, I can be Michael Jordan if you want to give me, because Christ give me strength. That's not the context of the text. The context of the text is, when you're suffering, God can give you strength, and you can survive, you can be someone that God promises that you can become all through these sufferings, all through these trials, if you trust in God. My hope is that your discouragement will not last long. And just like a virus, it will die down. The virus of discouragement will eventually die down. And while we are in that time of discouragement, always remember, go back to your why. And then remember, God has been faithful to you in the past, and He will continue to be faithful to you today in the future. And whatever you're planning in the future, God knows what's best.
1 point with Arnold Gamboa.